Here we're solving a second degree equation by completing the square. The equation is x squared plus 6x plus 4 equals 0. Now, this is actually a good thing that we're using completing the square, because it turns out that this thing is absolutely impossible to factor. It is really, I mean, the easiest thing to do would be to factor the non-zero side, set the factors equal to 0 and solve. That's the easy way to go. But when you cannot factor, you should try this method, completing the square. So let's go through the 9 steps. Step 1 is to isolate the x squared and x in parentheses together on the left side. So we're going to move the 4 over. We're going to subtract 4 from both sides. We have parentheses x squared plus 6x, close your parenthesis, equals negative 4. Step 2, that is where we factor out the coefficient of x squared, but there is no coefficient but the invisible one, so that's done. Step 3 is where we divide both sides by that coefficient that we just factored out, but we didn't do that, so that's done. Okay, it's kind of easy. Now we're ready for step 4. This is that strange step where we add bracket 1/2 times the coefficient of x, and then we square the bracket, and the coefficient of x is a number multiplying x. You can see that's the number 6. It's multiplying x. So we have x squared plus 6x plus bracket 1/2 times 6 squared equals the other side plus 1/2 times 6 squared. Step 5, we simplify inside the bracket only to give us the 3. See, we just have that 3 squared inside. Okay, let's go on to step 6, where we're going to simplify the right-hand side, bring down the left side, and the right side is negative 4 plus 9, which is 5. In other words, we have x squared plus 6x plus bracket 3 squared equals 5. Step 7 is where we factor the left side. So go back and look at the formula, or just remember that it factors as parenthesis x plus whatever stuff is in the bracket, including the sign, close your parenthesis, and then square it. So we have parenthesis x plus 3 squared equals the other side. Step 8, we are going to take plus or minus the square root of both sides in order to eliminate the square on the left. And we introduced the square root. That's why we have to use both plus and minus. All right, so step 9 is to solve for x. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. It gives us negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 5. Now, you could bust this apart to x equals negative 3 plus the square root of 5 together, union together with x equals negative 3 minus the square root of 5. But honestly, we were not able to simplify this any further by busting it apart, so I would not have even bothered to do this step of busting it apart. I would have just written my answer. Thus, our solutions are set bracket negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 5. See, I left both the plus and the minus there, so you really understand that there are 2 solutions to this equation. By the way, if I had to, I'd plug those each back into the original equation and simplify it to show that both sides are equal, but that would be a whole new video, very long.